It's September of 2005. A family of four boards a Boeing 747 jumbo jet from Jeddah International Airport. The eldest son of the family is crying because he's intimidated by the plane's large engines. After unsuccessful attempts by the parents to calm him down, the pilots offer to take him to the cockpit. After seeing the complex computers and buttons at the cockpit, he is soothed. The plane takes off from Jeddah International Airport and lands at Istanbul Atatürk Airport 3 hours, 50 minutes later. As you may have guessed, that child was me, Ahmet Burak Taylan, from Electrics and Electronics Engineering, Metro. In my opinion, that Boeing 747 was nowhere comparable in size to an Airbus A380 in size. This behemoth of a plane was meant to be a breakthrough in the aviation history, yet the project failed. Why? We will find an answer to this question in a matter of minutes. In my opinion, there are two main reasons as to why the project failed. Firstly, enormous delays in production and, of course, Airbus's imaginative aims in production. Before we plunge into the problem, however, I'd like to introduce you to our blockbuster, the Super Jumbo, nicknamed. The Airbus A380 could carry 886 passengers over 8,000 nautical miles without aerial refueling or landing. It also boasts a 20% more effective fuel efficiency per mile seat than its best counterpart, the Boeing 747. Now that we know the hero of our story, let's go on. One of the greatest reasons for the failure of the project was delays in production. And the main reasons of these delays were wiring issues. Airbus first announced that the delays would be 6 months, but these 6 months were later elated to 2 years, and this very badly affected Airbus's economy. The wiring issues were caused because various facilities throughout Europe used different software and wiring techniques. And in such a megastructure as the Airbus A380, such differences could cause enormous problems. And then, of course, there is Airbus's imaginative goal of producing 45 aircraft per year. They could never reach this goal. They could never get close to this goal. The closest they could get was 30 aircraft per year for 2 consecutive years, but productions dropped after that. On top of these came notable accidents and incidents that the Airbus A380 suffered. An Airbus A380 operated by Qantas Airways, flying from New York to Tokyo, suffered an engine failure. The Rolls-Royce Trent engine failed mid-flight. The plane did land safely without any casualties, but investigations were to follow. These investigations were deepened when the European Safety Agency detected cracks in the wing fittings of the aircraft. All of the A380s throughout Europe were grounded, and Airbus was called in for maintenance, for all maintenance. This, of course, caused the cost of the project to skyrocket. Airbus was already in very deep waters when logistical problems came into play. The Airbus A380 is more effective than the Boeing 747 in fuel consumption. Yet, Boeing and Airbus were continuously cranking out very much more fuel-efficient airplanes continuously. Examples, the Boeing 777 and the Airbus A350 and A330neos. In addition to this, most airports in the world were complaining about A380s because not all of them were able to accommodate such a behemoth of an aircraft. Around 67% of the airports in the world had to renew their runways and hangars in order to accommodate the Airbus A380. I have counted a multitude of reasons until now, but none of them, in my opinion, have had such an impact as this one. Emirates decided to shift its orders of A350s to A380s to Airbus A380s and 330neos. Being the largest operator of A380s, This decision was a huge blow to Airbus, to the Airbus and to the A380 project. This margin was very obvious when we look at the price of this huge aircraft. One Airbus A380 costs around $445 million, while a Boeing 747 costs a mere $180 million in comparison. In 2001, when Airbus first announced the A380 project, they aimed to sell 1,500 aircraft per year. But in 2014, only 291 A380s were ordered, and 239 of these have been delivered. Airbus was very much lacking. In 2012, Airbus admitted that the project was never going to be profitable with a $25 billion cost. They had lost. 6 months later, Airbus announced that the production lines of Airbus A380 would be closed by 2021. The skies of Earth had lost another of its very precious birds. The Super Jumbo was going to be a good dream. It was aimed to be one of the most game-changing airplanes ever to fly in the sky, but it could not even produce the effect which Concorde's sonic boom produced. The Airbus A380 project had failed. These are my references if you would like to make more detailed research about the topic, and my humble appreciation for listening to me.